I don't think I'm ever going to have kids. It's like, sometimes the idea of it is nice, but realistically, if I really am honest, the main reason that I ever think about wanting to have kids is so that there will be people to take after me when I'm old and not able to take care of myself, right? I don't want to be screaming at the orderlies saying they stole my watch. That's not how anybody wants to go out. But I think that's probably just the way it's going to have to go. And I don't think that's a good motivation to have children, right? I don't think a good motivation is just purely selfish means of someday when I'm old, you should be around. And also kind of a risky proposition, right? Like there's a lot of years in between there where you've got to be a good parent. And what if you just get a rotten egg? What if the kid is just absent? What if they're like, nah, I'm not that kind of soldier? You're like, damn it. The whole purpose of this was a long con of you. And then it backfired horrendously. Now I can't even afford the good old folks' home. Brutal. Where I'm going with this is I think watching Canada soccer play Argentina is as close to watching my children play a sport, like the feeling of watching your child play a sport as I could possibly get, because I'm really proud of them and I'm disappointed and I'm sad, but I'm not angry at all. Like I'm just, hey, they're in the car. Hey, buddy, you did great. Did you try your hardest? I think you did. You made me proud. I would have loved to have seen you win. I would have done anything to have seen you win. Truly, when I sat yesterday in the bar watching with all the people who wouldn't have been strangers anymore, had you found ways to score goals. Boy, oh boy, I was making deals with the devil. I was putting that energy out there. I really was. I was putting that energy out there of just, hey, any mystical forces want to make a deal right now? I'm available. That's how badly I wanted it. So great run. Tons to be proud of. Huge building block moments. I think that their back line, they did incredibly well in this tournament. They were a complete mystery. Hey, what are these young defenders going to look like? And they all acquitted themselves well. Bombito is like a real revelation for this team moving forward. There's a lot. We came into this thing going, who is Jesse Marsh? And are they going to be able to show composure this quickly? And there was a lull, man. There was a lull after the World Cup. We were wondering, did they lose all the momentum? Did they lose all the momentum from that amazing run? Those amazing qualifier games where I went to, I think, 4 of them? That were honestly some of the most special sports moments of my entire life. Like being there when they finally clinched against Jamaica. Actually, the game against the United States, watching them pull off that upset and just shock those American fans and leaving the stadium with them and getting to hold your head high. Man, that was the best. And then after the World Cup, it felt like, what's the direction, right? What's going to happen here? Now you have this tournament where they shocked a bunch of nations. They showed some great composure. A couple of those young defenders really did seem to develop. I think that you saw like guys like Alistair Johnson, the impact of guys like that playing at a big club level and the growth that they've had even since we first kind of started to watch him with the Canadian men's national team. So it was awesome. It was an incredible run. But you're also allowed to be disappointed and you gear up and you hope that they win on Saturday and grab one more, although it doesn't. Yeah, I saw that they were talking about lineup adjustments and you hope Davies is okay because, God, that would be a miserable way to end this tournament going in for extras. I didn't see an update on that. Did you, Mike? I don't know, but either way, you just hope Davies is okay. Anyways, tons to be proud of, tons to look forward to. But yeah, God, I would have wanted that one. Anyways, Dwayne De Rosario, Canadian soccer legend. He joins me now. What's up, brother? How are we doing?
Good morning. Fantastic.
Yeah, right? Like, that's the way to be today. I normally, with all sports, I'm the guy who, like, comes down hard on the losses and is like, hey, this should have been better and this could have been better. But it's like we lost to Argentina. We're Canada. It was the 48th ranked team in the world against the number 1 ranked team in the world. It was a very, very special run. I think that everybody in this country was reinvigorated once again as a soccer fan. People are stoked for the World Cup. For you, what's the thing that you're most proud of when you look at what they accomplished on this semifinal run?
Yeah, I think the way we played. Usually we would sit back against world powers and absorb pressure and try to wait for the counterattack, but we didn't do that in none of our matches. We tried to take the game to every team we played against, and fell a little short in the final product, which we definitely could work on. But at the end of the day, we're still driving at teams. We're still pushing the envelope at the best team in the world, to play them in a Copa semifinals.
Yep.
And to, walk out there with a 2-0 loss. Of course, your competitive nature, competitive spirit's going to feel disappointed, but you have to be proud to know that, we're battling against, the best team in the world, and we had 1 or 2 good chances.
Yep. Hey, yeah, honestly, there were moments, right? There were moments for Canada. And I think that you could even argue if Crepeau makes that save and it stays at 0-0, Canada's hanging around, maybe the things go differently. But, yeah, I don't think that they – that was not an embarrassing result. That wasn't a start to finish. Was Argentina clearly the better team? Yeah, I would expect that would be the feeling. Did they control possession? Did they feel more dangerous? Of course, all of those things. Their passing was much more crisp. There was just a ton. They were a more threatening team. But, there was never a moment in that game where I went, oh, God, these guys don't even belong here, or this is like an embarrassing moment for Canada, which I think is important. There are things that I want to talk to you about improving moving forward, but before I do that, I want to ask you about, the value of this experience. Is there a way for you to quantify it? Because this is 7 games against the Netherlands, against France. I'm going to count the games, the friendlies before, because those are against huge programs. And then you get Chile, Peru, 2 matches against Argentina, a game against Venezuela. How is this going to help these guys moving forward to the World Cup? Because I do think it's important to keep the perspective that most of us going into this tournament thought that was the major value of playing in this.
For sure, getting the experience. It's not often, as you mentioned, you play in Netherlands, France, number 2 in the world, just finished, losing to Argentina in the World Cup, and then you're playing Chile, Argentina. It's just Venezuela, which is classified as a golden era, a generation, and all these things are just chalked up as experience. Invaluable experience that you just can't teach, you can't get. I know a lot of our guys are playing in Europe, but when you see Euros and you see Copa América, it's a different style, different game, right? It's a lot more aggressive, it's a lot more direct. Then the Euros a little bit more side to side, a little bit more patient on their attack. But when you see Copa América, it's a lot more aggressive, a lot more physical, and very direct. So to be able to adapt, I was very proud to see our players be adaptable. And like I said, to gain that experience going into 2026, we're going to need all the experience that we can get.
Yeah. Again, it's a super young team. Some things I don't think you can teach. There's the decisiveness that Argentina plays with the ball. You're like, oh, yeah, I don't think that a couple of years from now we're going to see Canada develop that quickly. But what area of growth have you seen most with this program? What did you see during this tournament? Let's just say from the first game to the last game that you thought was your biggest question mark to greatest area of improvement.
Whether or not we're going to create chances against South American teams that are very aggressive and tend to pressure you all over the field, as we saw Argentina do, especially coming out the first half and the second half. They're very much on their front foot. They close you down, they pin you in your own half, and there was a spell there where we couldn't even make a pass.
Yeah,
we just kept giving the ball over. So, how can we play through those moments? And we found a way to, let's settle down. Let's move the ball around. Let's, take the air out the game, as they say. Let's keep 4 or 5 passes, and let's build up our attack. So we're going to have to do a better job of that. And as the tournament went on, I thought we did do a better job of that, a couple throw-ins. We almost caught Argentina off a throw-in.
Yeah.
And just having that willingness to take a risk in those areas, to get the ball, throw it in, and you never know, play quick like they do, right? They just know how to take advantage of every little aspect of the game, whether that's a guy going down because they knew we had, a shot and a header, and it seems like the chances was a little tilting in our favor, and they just deflated that by just going down and just, okay, let's take the arrow to game on their side, and when it's time to pick it up. So I think we're really understanding those little intricacies of the game that you said you can't teach that. You have to just, when you're playing it, you have to identify it and know it and apply it.
So the only thing I would say, like you said, created chances. Obviously, everybody felt that too, right? Even in the first game against Argentina, it almost felt like Canada early on caught them by surprise. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there are maybe some guys want back, right? Even early in that one, Schaffelberg has an opportunity off the rush where you're like, oh, man, and then he boots it over. But ultimately, Canada finished with 2 goals in those 7 games that I mentioned. And you're a guy who scored a lot at the international level, man. You get 22 goals in international play. How can this team start converting those? Like, is there something that you're seeing that they can improve upon moving towards the World Cup where because I think you're going to have to generate a little bit more offense than this. Yeah.
I think right now it's, a number 10 spot is needed. Someone that could really pull the strings in those, take shots, slip guys in, could collect the ball from our 6 and 8, which is our defensive midfield, can turn and, build up our attack right away. I think of Fonzie. Sometimes you see him get a little frustrated. He drives forward and his head's up and he's looking, and everybody's kind of waiting for him, and no one's really making that run and saying, give me the ball, and demanding the ball, or have that energy where it's like, give it to me. So where you see like a team like Argentina, every time Messi picks it up, guys just take off and they're making runs and they just trust that he's going to find them. And there's times that we did do that, to be fair, but we just didn't play it. We just kind of, turned and made the safe pass side to side or backwards, where, sometimes you have to, be a little more, take a little more risk, especially on attacking third. In terms of finishing, it's just sometimes, having that confidence in front of the goal. Like you said, it wasn't a lack of chances, it's just maybe a lack of, I don't want to say quality, but just confidence, in hitting it or maybe control it. We saw that, that goal from the cross, on the 18, he took a touch and then, hit the ball far post. So it's just knowing when and when not to in certain areas of the field.
So you mentioned the Davies thing. Do you like where he's played? Like, does this what it has to be? Because I will say that as the game goes on too, and you're down a goal and you're looking for more offense, and I know he has the ability to freelance, but the point was made to me by a couple of people, like, where isn't now the time when you're down that you start to question where he's playing?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, he's playing on one of the top teams in the world in a certain position because he provides, or he gives the best out of that position. And coming with the national team, we're looking to give him more of an opportunity to push forward as a winger, and he tends to do that. But I think his best position for me is where he plays for Bayern, but we have to create the game around that. The wide guy has to come in and give him that space where he can, use his speed to get up and down the field. So we just have to play to his strength maybe a little bit more, and because he tends to do that, right? It's in his nature. We see it every game. He gets the ball from deep and he just drives forward, and you can see the other team panic. They go back. Now it's can we get options? Can we make runs when he starts to push forward? Can we make diagonal runs? Can we make supportive runs for him, because he's smart enough. He can play that pass and he can get that ball in. We just have to make the runs to support him.
Yeah, no, it's breathtaking. Like, there were, I want to say, 2 or 3 moments in that game where he just decided, like, okay, I'm going, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, by one guy, you make the wrong read and he's gone. It's over. It's like beats one guy, beats two guys, and then you're like, well, where is the teammate here? Because now he's trying to beat the third, and then the third ends up stopping him. And you're like,
Right.
that's where you would love to see. I don't know if that's supposed to be trust in teammates or if that's guys not making runs, as you put it. But either way, that does still feel like the thing they need to be able to capitalize on is converting his just raw athleticism, skill, and talent into more open spaces and creation for teammates offensively.
Yeah, for sure. And supporting us and demanding it, not just making the run too, demanding it. And building that trust off each other. But I mean, it's coming. I mean, when you, like you say, you speak about our youth. Like, I really like how Jesse Marsh brought in a lot of young players that don't really have a lot of caps, and sitting on the bench and watching everything unfold is huge experience for our future. I'm excited for 2026.
Well, especially now that I think a lot of these young guys, and I've been making this point over the last week, that now they understand playing with the weight of expectation rather than just playing with the weight of, or like, hey, it's all gravy, right? Like none of these results necessarily matter. No one's expecting us to win. Now you've played a bunch of games as a bunch of young players on a very talented team where people are going, no, like we expect you to get a result here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny because we have that expectations for the men's team. Now we gotta have that same expectations for our U20s. Olympics. We're not representing in this year's Olympics, which is disappointing when you have your men's national team doing so well. So there's still a gap somewhere. Yeah. So, I know that, when we look at the U.S. and we can't compare programs and funding, but, they're constantly traveling, competing in these world tournaments, then we have to do the same. We have to get back to, getting our U17s prepared properly, our U20s prepared properly, so that way we can see maybe a 17, 18-year-old suit up for Canada and what is the future, right? And put them in environments that they need to play in, like a U20 World Cup, an Olympics. We desperately need these environments for our players to play in so they can get that much more experience, so that when they suit up for the first team, the men's team, they already coming in with experience, not coming in, okay, this is my first cap, this is my first experience at a major stage.
Yeah, well, I think that's why it was kind of interesting that Eustaquio used that stage, right? As soon as the match is over and he steps up, they put him in front of all the cameras and he knows it's a national audience, it's a major audience. And what did he speak on? He was like, he wanted to see the Canadian Premier League continue to grow and basically challenge Canadians to support more player development. Like, it's like those players knew it in that moment watching Argentina versus them playing in that game, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad that he's speaking up. And I think what everybody's saying, it's healthy. Mm-hmm. It's not only now expectations put on the players, now it's expectations put on the program now to make sure that, come 2026, we are ready. And not only come 2026, how can we build on all this success, locally? How can we translate that here and see, okay, what are other countries doing that they're always competing at the world stage, right? And that's, of course, one is getting a professional league in Canada, which we have in the CPL now. Now it's expanding it, growing it, investing in it, making sure that it's healthy and it stays healthy, and figuring out ways that we can get the fans to come out and support, because a lot of my kids played in the CPL. So it's a great avenue for a lot of young aspiring footballers who maybe not quite ready for MLS, but is ready to take this game serious and go pro. And then, of course, as we know, MLS is the next pro step, as we see how much that's growing and how much that's flourishing, where a lot of our players have stemmed from, including Kyle Aaron, Alphonso Davies, Schafferberg, and the list goes on, how many players have come through the pathways of MLS and went to Europe or are playing in MLS still and having a fantastic career and doing well for country. So it's just continue to close that gap that where we can compete with the speed, with the tenacity, with what's demanding at the world stage.
Yeah. So you mentioned Schaffelberg. Obviously, he was, the story of this tournament for Canada. It was I would say that was a tougher game for him. Again, the chances early. I think it was Jesse Marsh alluded to a lot of the guys seemingly got tired around the 20-minute mark of the game and felt like maybe he was one of those guys he was talking about.
Yeah.
But do you feel like Schaffelberg, what were your impressions of him over the course of this tournament? And do you think that he is ready to make a jump to Europe? Like if he came to you, would you be advising it, or do you think that's going to happen for him now, or is it more time in MLS?
For sure. I think the possibilities that, this year was really his breakout year with in MLS, and he's doing fantastic, right? Yeah. Now it's the consistency and proving that he can do that game in, game out. And I think he's proven that, let's face it, a lot of our players have never faced this kind of month, where you're playing such high intensity, high quality teams, starting with Holland, France. This has been a major, major month for our program. These players have really been up against it, But if you want to be up there with the best, you got to play against the best. You got to be able to compete against the best week in, week out as an Argentina and a Brazil or a France, because they know every time they step on the field, teams are coming to beat them. They're not expecting a weak France or a weak Argentina. You have to play your best game to beat these guys. So now that we're in those kind of positions, especially in CONCACAF, we have to be ready. We can't take any CONCACAF teams lightly anymore or at all. And we always have to there's expectation now, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I really like that idea too. And honestly, that will be the mentality that I carry moving forward when trying to evaluate it on this show, at least, is that it's not, that will not be where you get the moral victory points anymore. Right?
Yeah. I hate to say it, but that was kind of like the Canadian way back days. Oh, they worked hard or they tried. Yeah, well, of course we tried, but we didn't get the result. Now we want to get the result because we're getting the support now. We're getting the support, and when you ask me about what has changed, it's like there's so many things have changed. I mean, I think there's a lot of support. There's medical staff. There's mental staff. There's chefs. They're doing it right. We're finally starting to do it right, and we're seeing the fruits of our labor in terms of taking care of the players and making sure all you have to worry about is when you step on the field, do your job. And we're going to do everything off it to make sure you're ready. Well,
and that was another added benefit of making that semifinal that I keep, belaboring is they got an extra $6 million for getting there. Like for the program. I was like, that's big. Like those are big for spreading that money around to those players, to those accommodations, to those trainers, and hopefully to those development leagues as well. Okay, so again, to me, like a guy like Schaffelberg, he just stands out because it's like, oh my God, the runs, right? And so I think for a lot of us, we were captivated by it. He ends up scoring, a big goal. But to you, like, again, the educated soccer guy, a guy that has played a lot, who was the guy that stood out most to you outside of Schaffelberg where you went like, wow, this was a really good tournament for him? Like, this was really, really good and exciting stuff when it comes to looking forward to, again, the World Cup?
Yeah.
You can name more than one name, too.
Okay. I thought Cornelius did a good job, a very good job. He's one guy that really showed poise. There's a couple of times, where you can see kind of just mental kind of pause, and then even in the goal, I think it was him that stepped late and kept Messi on. But in terms of his, what was asked of him for this month, I thought he did fantastic. I thought he did a great job, and defensively we looked solid. I thought goalkeeper-wise, fantastic again. Stepping up, winning the balls, breaking up plays. Again, in the first game against Argentina, how many plays, Max broke up, by stepping out and being brave. And here's a guy that, got injured from doing that. And he just kept the same, said, okay, I'm recovered, I'm back. None's going to hold me back from playing my game. So those two in particular, we didn't get to see too much of the other players. Of course, Eustáquio looked very, very clean on the ball. We know what he can do. We know what Jonathan Davies can do, right? And the Larins and the Davies. But so those two in particular for me, I would say Richie Larea. Good to see him back.
Yeah.
Good to see him with energy and playing with that spark that we all love to see. So there's so many players that really I was very impressed with.
Yeah. So you know what I thought Cornelius' best move of the entire tournament was, though?
Which one?
Right at the very end of the game. He rushed to Messi and got the jersey. He did the jersey swap right away. He was like, yeah, Messi, you and me. I was like, wait, how does this work? Like, because I would have thought that there was some seniority. Like, the guy that swapped jerseys with Di Maria, I didn't even know who that was. They just ran up, and they were like, yep, swap. I was like, okay, so how does it work in terms of who gets the jersey swap with that guy's the greatest player arguably of all time, and you just played the biggest game in, maybe Canadian soccer history against him, and you're running up, you get the jersey first. I got to ask, again, how does that operate?
Well, in the locker rooms, things change.
Yeah.
No.
So he's in there. He's like trying to pack up his stuff, and so it was like Davies all of a sudden's like, "Hey, man,
exactly.
I know he has yours, but I don't think Messi's going to hang the Cornelius jersey in his trophy room. Like I think he's going to be like, hey. So how does that go? Does that actually happen? You think the guys had a conveation or like, hey, who's getting this?
Well, Fonzie got the jersey from the first game.
Yeah, the first game.
From Messi. Right, so I think Cornelius, he did a good job of marking one of the best player of all time.
He gets it.
He gets it. But the others I think are definitely locker room discussions, and I like give that to me. That belongs to me, not you.
I would just think if I was Kyle Larin, for example, who has the most goals now, broke your record. And I finished that game, and it's like, maybe this is my, maybe, I don't know if he's going to be on the World Cup roster or not. I'd be like, hey, Cornelius, pass it over.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That definitely has a possibility. You have to respect your senior players in those instances. I know I was one where I was like, very adamant, like, no, that jersey belongs to him, or that jersey belongs to that guy or me, but I don't know how the dynamics have changed.
Yeah,
but it's funny for some. You do see some of the young players run up, like, okay, I'm gonna get his jersey, and you just laugh at first because you know that he got away with it. But in the locker room, it's like I said, it's a different conversation.
You know what though? You know who nobody asked for his jersey is Rodrigo De Paul, and I was like, good. I wouldn't want anybody taking that jersey after that game. That was all time. As in terms of like me getting mad at an opposing athlete, like me being furious watching a game of any kind, I would say that was at the very tippity top. Like I can't think of a guy where I was more upset than that.
Yeah, and the thing is, such a quality player that he doesn't need to do that.
He's on Argentina. He's probably pretty good.
Yeah, he's definitely quality. But someone like Kone again. You got to manage your emotions. You got to still have that, kicking the ball at a player of his caliber when he's down. Something that, that's a no-no as well.
I guess what? For me, it was a yes. I was like, that was a proud moment for me. I was like, way to go. Should have kicked it harder.
Or you tackle him, right? Yeah. You really tackle him, and get a card like that. But, it's, again, our boys played brave.
Yeah.
They met Argentina head to head, and they battled, and I think all Canadian fans left that game, yes, disappointed because now that there's expectations, but proud in the same breath. Yeah,
of course. Hey, Dwayne, thanks so much for making time today, man. I really enjoyed getting to pick your brain.
Let's go, man. We could come out here with third place. Why not?
Yeah. God, please. That would be great. Although I had to be reminded of it as soon as it was over. People in the bar were like, all right, third place game. I was like, right, of course. All right, you got to recalibrate. I was already dreaming of them hoisting the trophy. Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
It's a huge step, though. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Third place in Copa América. I don't know how much CONCACAF teams. I mean, Mexico's out, U.S. is out, Panama is out. All right, we're in.
Yeah.
So we have lots to be
Oh, it
proud
would be great.
of.
I don't know if any of those. I got to look up whether any of those countries. Like, I'm sure Mexico is finished third. They must have a third place result. But I don't know if the States does. This is going to be my research in the break, because this is going to be the way that I'm selling this. Is Canada doing something that neither of those two nations have done? I would like to be able to say that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Cheers, brother.
We got to win it first. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Cheers, man. Dwayne De Rosario, again, Canadian soccer legend.